Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're gonna draw Bakugo from My Hero Academia. We're gonna pencil, ink, and color Bakugo. So if that sounds like a good way to spend 24 minutes, then let's draw. This is a very special episode of Let's Draw, whatever the heck we call this thing, because I finally hit 1,000 subscribers. I think I was at 1,011 when I started recording this. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now I just need like 3,700 video watch hours or 30 million short views. But we're getting there, so one thing at a time. We hit the first goal. So I want to thank everybody who subscribed and liked and all that stuff. And if you got this far, watch till the end because I love this drawing of Bakugo. I mean, I drew Bakugo like a year ago, and I liked it. It was cool, but this one is just like, damn, that's Bakugo. So Bakugo's first appearance was in Weekly Show and Jump Chapter 1 in 2014. And then his first anime appearance was in Season 1, Episode 1 of My Hero Academia. I believe I've said this before because I've done a few My Hero Academia videos at this point, that I started watching My Hero Academia. I went to visit my sister and her family. They were living in Indiana at the time. Now they're back with us in good old home state, but I think I just got like laid off and I was like, this stinks. I'm just going to disappear for a little while. So I drove up to see them in Indiana. And my nephew was like, did you watch this show called My Hero Academia? I'm like, I haven't been watching anime for a while, actually. So, no, I haven't seen it. So he's like, you gotta check this out. And I ended up binge watching the whole show almost that weekend. I think I also, or was that the weekend that I went up there and then I flew to San Diego Comic-Con? I don't remember. It was one of those two, but it was my nephew's fault. And I got hooked since then and watched it straight on till the end. Yeah, it was pretty damn good. In fact, it was kind of cool because I was just watching the show. Yeah, it was San Diego Comic-Con. Because then I went to San Diego Comic-Con for the first and only time because a friend of mine couldn't go. So they let me have their ticket and I just had to get out there and stuff. And I saw people like cosplaying these characters. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I know who these guys are. Because when I do my convention booths, I like trying to figure out what different cosplays are walking around that I haven't seen before. Most of them, Harley Quinn, Batman, all the standard stuff. But then there's like these people who have niche interests, which is awesome. And they cosplay things that you've never seen before. And even though I know My Hero Academia was popular when it hit, I didn't know it. So it was the first time I was seeing these characters. Like I saw a girl walking on the street on my way to a hotel, and she was dressed up as Bakugo. I'm like, Bakugo, cool. So it's pretty neat. When I was drawing this, I wanted to kind of get Bakugo's attitude, and I definitely wanted to get the look that he's about to like shoot the explosions out of his hands and everything. And we'll get to that in the coloring, and it took me a minute, but I think I figured it out. And I noticed because I watched the episodes of the last season with his awakening when he fights All for One and he finally defeats him. Spoilers if you haven't watched last season yet, but that was like a year ago, so that's on you. Sorry about that. And his quirk awakens and he's faster and he's more powerful than he's ever been. So I was watching that and I freezed a couple frames and saw how they glowed up his hand. And I noticed that all his little nitroglycerin dots are kind of like little triangles that are exploding. So I copied all that. Well, I didn't copy it. Well, I did copy it. I used it as reference. And I think I did a pretty decent job of getting that look. This drawing is also kind of like I had the idea down and I drew it in really quick. And like, all right, cool. And then I had to adjust a bunch of sizes. So it was almost like putting a puzzle together. Like, do I want this arm smaller? Do I want it bigger? Do I want this leg bigger? Do I want this foot smaller? And these are the kind of things that if I was drawing this on paper would not have happened. It still would have been cool, but it just would have been a slightly less dynamic. So I think I'm going to, I don't know if I'll draw things for the channel on paper or I'll just do little shorts showing them, but I do need to start drawing on paper because digitally you just got way too many options. I was also talking to a friend of mine who is another YouTuber. We've talked about him before. And he was telling me about all the story he's running through his channel, and they're kind of like playing a version of Dungeons and Dragons. And it's kind of a campaign that we started back in the late 90s. And one of my the character I played in that initial campaign, I guess he's one of the big bads for what's going on now. Like, geez, 30 years later almost? Actually, it is 30 years later, probably. Or close to it. And when we retire the characters, he asked, what do you want this person's goal to be now that you're not in control of them anymore? So you had some say in that. And my guy was a bard. He was a thief. You know, he ended his career as a good guy, but he wasn't always a good guy. And I said, what any bard type star musician would want to be. I said, he wants to be the most famous person to ever live. Well, he took that to an extreme. And I can't really talk about all the things because he told me some things in confidence that he's going to be doing. So, yeah, that was kind of neat. And I don't know why I'm talking about that in a Bakugo thing. Oh, because the reason we were talking is because I mentioned that I want to do a comic. But I'm not going to do a comic that's like one long story or like a 4-issue miniseries or an ongoing thing, because I'm not much of a writer, so I got to dip my toes in the water. So I'm going to do 3 8-page stories of 3 different characters. One of them is going to be my character, the bunny. Another one I think is going to be a little fairy dude that I drew, because I'm also been drawing fairies for years, and I've drawn 20-ish of them. And I want to do a book of the fairies. That won't really be a comic book. It'll be more like a here's a cool pinup of the fairies, and here's a little story about that fairy. And it'll have a little intro about how the fairies live and why they're where they're at and what their motivations are. And that book's going to be called I Draw Fairies, so I really got to get on that one. So you might see some fairy drawings of non-fan art on this channel. I don't know if anybody will watch that, but we will find out, because I'm going to do one of the fairy that's going to be in the comic. And then the bunny, he's just, he's a Batman who wants to be Superman, but he's also a homeless street creature. So we'll see how that goes. And maybe I will ask Camp Kill if he wants to write one of his old characters, and I'll draw that one into the book too. And if he doesn't, I'll just pick somebody else from the long years of making up characters I do nothing with, and go from there. Will the stories be great? Probably not. They're just going to be little intros. But hopefully the art will make up for that. And if I'll probably run a Kickstarter or something. Everybody seems to run Kickstarters for comics these days. And if it does well and it gets good reception and some of the characters do well, then I'll figure out how to do a whole comic based on that character or whatever. Or maybe I'll do another anthology and I'll just continue their story from there. I don't know. But it sounds fun. And I think of all these things I want to do, and I sometimes don't do them. Oh, sorry. The pencils are done. It is now time to ink Bakugo. But we'll see. So as far as my hero goes, I think Bakugo usually ranks as the most popular character. Then I think, Deku or some of the other ones, or some of the other ones rank second. I don't know where All Might falls into that. I never really look at the list. I just always see that Bakugo is the most popular one. And I kind of get it, because he has that angry bravado and he's always yelling. And he is convinced that he is always right. And even though he found out that Midoriya, Deku, had All Might's powers and how powerful he was going to be, he never gave up trying to get better and never gave up trying to surpass Deku's power. So, he's also very determined and doesn't give up and does his thing and does his thing well. What do they call him again? Explosion something murder god? I'm going to look that up. Hold on. Okay, it's Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. It's kind of funny because when he has his awakening and he's going after All for One, everybody's like, is that crazy guy from the sports festival? Because they had that sports festival contest, and then they're like, oh, that's the guy who got kidnapped by All for One, and the reason why All Might's not All Might anymore, and all that stuff. But then they're like, yeah, go. Then one guy's like, that's Bakugo. Another guy's like, Yeah, that's Great Explosion, Murder God, Dynamite. So once he gets through that and he beats All for One, and they do the episode More, which I thought was a great way to close the series. Just a small little episode, a character thing, where they all meet up for dinner. And then Bakugo is a central part of that, telling Midoriya, you know, if you treat everybody like they're special, then nobody's special. Basically encouraging him to, confess his feelings for Uraraka and, get out of his rut in life and, live it to its fullest. But it also says that I guess he debuted as like the number 4 hero because, everybody remembers his fight with All for One and everything. And he quickly dropped down to like the 20s or the teens or whatever because his loud and boisterous attitude and, was off-putting to a lot of people. So it's good stuff. And then at the end of that episode, it's pretty freaking overkill. Because, they're all saying goodbye for dinner, and the thing comes over the radio that somebody stole a car or whatever. And it has all a Class 1A in this one restaurant, and they're now professional heroes and doing their things. So they're like, we got this. So the whole Class 1A, Deku in his robot suit, Bakugo in his, Bakugo suit, whatever. Todoroki, Uraraka, Sellotape. All of them. Purple ball on his head guy, whose name I forgot. They all go after this one poor guy who stole a car. And like, oh man, that guy picked the wrong day to steal a car. It's like sending the Avengers out after a car thief, Iron Man, Thor, or the Justice League, Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman. They all show up to stop just a car thief. I mean, the look on that guy's face must have been like, what the heck? I'm sure that deterred him from a future life of crime. So the inking on Bakugo is like the quickest part because I just had to ink Bakugo. But then I'm like, you know what? I want explosions behind him. I want to say boom. So I said, you know what? I could go on the internet. I could steal a generic boom. I looked through all my fonts. I'm like, these fonts aren't what I'm looking for. So I said, I'm just going to draw it because that's part of being a cartoonist sometimes. You got to draw fonts. You got to draw backgrounds. You got to draw what you need. So here it is. So I'm like, I'm going to draw the boom. I didn't record the part where I put in the really rough boom because I didn't think I was going to record it. I'm like, I should. Plus, this video is not going to be super long, so it's not going to hurt to pad the runtime a couple minutes by drawing boom. So you guys get to see a little bit of the process of drawing letters. First, I just kind of draw it in like I'd regularly write something. And my handwriting is worse than a doctor's, by the way, so apologize for that. And then I block it out, and you end up with the boom you see behind Bakugo, but you'll also see me finish this here because after I get it penciled in, I drop it behind him to see how it looks and decide where I'm going to put it. Then you got to ink it, color it, all that fun stuff. But it's definitely worth it to draw my own boom than to use a generic boom from the internet or look for some font that would be good enough but not great and not do exactly what I wanted it to do. So I am happy I decided not to take the easy way out and actually sit around and draw the letters that I needed. And you get this? So after I draw the pictures, I bring the layered file into Photoshop, even though I draw it in Clip Studio. I just know all the little tools in Photoshop better, even though it's kind of a waste of $27 a month or whatever it is. So I could easily do the same things in Clip Studio, just not as fast, but eventually it will be as fast. But anyway. So I bring in the Photoshop, I make the thumbnails, I make the color, the pencil, the inked image, so I can put them up on the screen here. And then I print them. I print them at 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12, or I print them at 12 by 18, which I think I'm going to switch to 11 by 17 because the printer I have prints full bleed. I got it super cheap. It was on discount at Best Buy when I just happened to be there one day, and I was like, I can't say no to this. Plus the scanner is 11 by 17. But the printer was printing everything was skewed blue. I'm like, why is everything skewed blue? So for Bakugo, I'm like, I want everything to look right. I don't want to have a blue tint to it. So I'm just thinking about it. Oh, hold on. The inks are done. It is now time to color Great Explosion, Murder God, Dynamite, Bakugo. All right, so anyway, the printer was printing blue. Like, it had a blue sheen to it. I'm like, why does it have a blue sheen to it? Then I'm thinking, like, when I set it up, I didn't really download any drivers, and things these days don't come with CDs or anything, and even if it did, I don't have a CD drive to load in drivers, so I just went to the printing thing in the system settings on the Mac, and I just added a printer and printed. And I'm like, I never installed a driver. So I went on the internet and I typed in driver. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll install a driver, see if that solves my problem before I start pulling my hair out, since I can't find a color setting anywhere to adjust the settings coming out of the printer. So it took a lot longer to print to load a driver than it used to, let me tell you. But it loaded everything up. It also uploaded the firmware, which I wanted to avoid because I've been using generic ink cartridges. Don't sue me, Epson, because I don't think that's illegal anyway. And it rejected 2 of the ink cartridges that were in it, but luckily I had extras, so I was able to put those in, and they worked just fine. So now I don't know what's going to work or what isn't going to work, so that's going to be fun. But then I printed Bakugo. It's like, oh, the blue. There's no blue on him. That's awesome. I'm like, all right, let's double check by printing out the turtles from last week, because those had a bit of a blue sheen to them. So I printed out a set of the turtles, like, haha. All right, the turtles have no blue either. So my impatience when setting up the printer was the problem. I just should have took the time to find and load a driver, and not just use a generic Mac OS driver that comes with the computer. So lessons learned. So the Prince of Bakugo will not have a blue tint to him if you come to Terrificon in a few weeks, because we're on the 30-day countdown. I'll start advertising that, and I'll talk about it more in the next couple videos coming up, which I have no idea who next week's video is going to be. Still thinking about that. But the week after is going to be Spider-Man, because I believe that's when the Spider-Man movie comes out. And then I was like, I should draw Doctor Doom. But I think that Avengers movie comes out in December, so I should save Doom for that. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. In fact, I'll probably figure it out tonight after I draw this, because I'm going to watch that Anna Taylor-Joy movie on Apple TV once I'm done doing this voiceover. And, yeah. I'll figure out who to draw then. And Bakugo, I went with his darker suit, even though I didn't do it super dark, because I knew the background was going to be pretty black, so I didn't want him to blend in too much for it. I actually thought that the My Hero was going to go through with it and kill Bakugo, because they have the thing where they're on the island and Deku gets pulled away, so he's not at the floating school to fight like he's supposed to be. So Bakugo has to take on Shigaraki all by himself, or Shigaraki all by himself. And he's doing an okay job at first, but then he just basically gets impaled, and he's on death's door, and it happens to him like twice. I mean, they faked out his death a few times. They faked it out in the first war arc, and then they really faked it out in the second war arc, because he gets it right through the chest. And I forgot the hero's name, but he turns into a little needle and goes into Bakugo and sews him up and tries to bring him back. But Bakugo ends up bringing himself back with his little explosions inside, so the thread guy is just holding them together. And then the, his own powers basically spark him back to life, and he goes on to have his power awakening and messes up All for One, reduce him into a baby, which I thought was hilarious, because they actually go through freaking infanticide in My Hero, because All for One is slowly regressing in age as he takes in damage, because he uses Rewind Quirk after he fought with Endeavor and Hawks. So every time he takes damage, he gets younger and younger. And he's trying to get to Shiragaki to take over his body so he could live forever, because Shiragaki's fighting him from afar. And it gets to the point where Bakugo finally turns him into like an infant. And Bakugo's like, oh, he can't do anything now. He's an infant. But he still has his mind. And he shoots his spike out of his mouth at Bakugo to try to impale him, because I guess that's the first power he ever stole. I guess he stole it from his mother or something. And Bakugo catches it with his teeth and launches his explosion through it, and all for one, you know, and they finally kill him for good. The thing that All Might couldn't do, the thing Endeavor couldn't do, the thing Hawks couldn't get done, Bakugo got it done. And that's why he debuted at like number 4 on the hero charts when he went pro after graduating from UA Academy. I left the house this morning and the world's on fire. I guess there's wildfires in Canada, and it's moving all the way down here into New England. It just smelled like fire and everything was orange. It's kind of like, hey, Bakugo's blowing crap up around here. So I'd like to draw more characters from My Hero, at least if anybody watches Bakugo for the second time. So who do you guys think I should draw? I've done Deku, I've done All Might, I've done the Rabbit Lady, I forgot her name. I've done Uraraka, and this is my second Bakugo, because, like I said, I didn't hate the first Bakugo, but, you know, a year later looking back, I don't love it either, and I wanted to have a print for him. And I just wanted to draw him because he's fun. So we revisited Bakugo. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you got this far, or when this becomes a short, who you think I should draw from My Hero, or any other anime for that matter. Because, you know, I haven't watched a ton of animes. I kind of watch the same ones over and over again. And there's a few new ones I want to watch. Like, I'm looking forward. I guess they're finally going to finish Black Clover. And my anime friend thinks I'm crazy for liking Black Clover. But, you know, oh well. I like it. It's silly. It's not great, but it's fun, and I like things that are fun. I also gotta finish the last season of Fire Force. I gotta finish the last season of Kaiju number 8. I gotta finish the last season of Jujutsu Kaisen. Jeez, I got a lot of anime to catch up on. And I gotta watch Daredevil Born Again season 2. I'm behind on everything. Maybe I shouldn't watch that movie tonight. I should just watch a show. But I'll probably watch the movie tonight. Like, while I was drawing Bakugo, I'm like, oh, I could catch up on Daredevil. I could catch up on some of these animes while I'm drawing them. And what do? I watch the Ocean's 11's franchise. I watched Ocean's 11 and 12 one night and 13 the next night. Yeah, I've only seen those a million times. But I want to go see them. They had them in the theaters last month, and I totally couldn't make it out in time. So here I'm putting the highlights on Bakugo from the explosion. For some reason, I always use this grainy brush, and then I blur it up a little. I think I might try to find another way to do this, because sometimes it looks really cool, like once you do that. And sometimes, I don't know, it just looks like I drew chalk over the drawing. And I also wanted the explosion behind them, well, the booms behind them, not really explosions, to have kind of like a character to them. So I went into my Bende, or my halftone dot things, and I used the line brushes, the gritty line brushes, and drew them up to give a two-tone to the whole explosion thing. And it was fun. And then I had to make Bakugo glow to separate him from the background a little. And my normal thing didn't work, so I had to experiment a little bit. But I figured it out, and I got it working. And here I'm like, okay, I can't just have the hand glowing. I gotta have some of these diamond things around too, as little glycerin sweat nodules that blow up, or drops of nitroglycerin sweat that he uses to explode and propel himself. And now he uses in his body to make himself stronger and faster and more powerful. So Bakugo is a pretty dangerous hero now that he's figured out most of his quirk, and I'm sure if they ever continued everything, he would continue to grow in power. And he technically did surpass Deku, because if you watched final season, spoilers again, you had a year, sorry. Deku had to basically give up his powers to beat Shigaraki and save the world, so he's powerless now. But that is it. Bakugo is done. Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe, watch, all that fun stuff. Thank you for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. That means the world to me. So have yourselves a great week. Go out and draw something, and watch my videos for $3,000. All right, see you next time.